All right. Hi, my name is Ziba Cranmer. I'm going to talk to you about the Forced Migration and Human Trafficking Collab, which is a collaboration between BU Spark, which I'm representing, and BU Law, Julie Dahlstrom, who's at the Immigrant Rights and Human Trafficking Clinic at BU Law, and Kaya Shilde and Nora Lori, who are at the Forced Migration and Human Trafficking Initiative at the Pardee School for Global Studies. It's a long term. Okay, so in this collab, we essentially pair computer science students with students from these other disciplines, from law, from global studies, to work on projects on behalf of external partners. They're technology projects, but in the domain of forced migration and human trafficking. So we're bringing these two lenses. Spark is sort of provisioning the computer science side. So we've worked on a variety of projects. I was trying to figure out a way to capture a framework of the types of projects we were working on. This is the best I could do. I'm sure it's not quite there, but there's projects that we're seeing. So we're seeing some patterns, and I wanted to share some of the patterns just in the types of the requests of the projects we're getting. So at the far left side, we're getting a lot of projects that are dealing with some of the risk factors at the country of origin. So, and most of those are data science projects. I'm going to give an example of that later. On the journey, sort of in the transition process, we're also getting a lot of projects that are organizations that are seeking to find ways to engage securely with protecting identities in documents, identity documents, things like that, along that journey. That's obviously a really sensitive area, so most of the work we've done in that space has just been exploratory. And that at the far right, destination host, that the country where a lot of the folks that are on that migration journey end up in, we're getting a lot of projects that are looking at resource inventories, how to allocate and make available resources to individuals on that journey, or once they enter the country where they're either temporarily or permanently resettled. Things like housing, legal aid, other types of connections. We're also getting a lot of projects that are reflective of the vulnerable status of individuals that are in this forced migration situation, and trying to figure out where those people are, those vulnerabilities exist, and to explore indicators of possible exploitation. So I'm going to take you through 3 quick examples of projects that we've worked on. So on the far left, back at the country of origin, we worked with an organization called Verite, which is a human rights in global supply chains organization based in Amherst. They wanted us to look at both media data, media reports, as well as registries, official registries of labor brokers. And we were specifically looking at this project in the Philippines. And they have registries of organizations that have been delisted, have complaints, et cetera. They all have data. So we were trying to help them put together a risk index of labor brokers that they might want to watch for their corporate partners in these global supply chains. The next one, the middle, that resource inventory category, we were working on a project for an organization called El Otro Lado, which is a border agency at the border of Tijuana of Mexico and San Diego. That partner was brought to us from BU Law, who is doing legal aid work with asylum seekers. And they were really struggling with the fact that of the thousands of asylum seekers they were seeing, they could only serve a fraction with legal casework. And they wanted some way to have a connection or to provide resources to the many people that maybe they had a fleeting contact with and then disappeared into the United States, or detention centers, or different circumstances. So we did some user research, some insights, and what we've come up with is a prototype that's just being developed now for a WhatsApp chatbot, which essentially is connected to data that we've scraped from legal aid service providers across the country for these asylum seekers to be able to access. So that's still in the works. On the far right side, that exploitation mapping is sort of what I've called it. We've been working with the Attorney General's office here in Massachusetts on the Fair Labor Division. They are trying to understand which companies, which employers might be taking advantage of those vulnerable status of individuals that are here on visas or other circumstances by looking at data like enforcement complaints, lack of workplace comp, Yelp review data, a whole bunch of other data also to understand risk factors and find predictive models to guide their inspection so that they can be more strategic in the thousands of complaints they get. So that's what I've got. Thank you very much.